In this live stream, we're going to go over my favorite meals that make weight loss really easy. Let me just lower that. I think I have my phone on with the sound. We'll go over all my favorite meals. I think I have about 11 meals that we're going to go over. But I'm also going to break down, my calorie formula, why eating a high protein, high fiber diet is so incredibly important. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I don't know, maybe we'll talk for like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, something like that. Also, if you have any questions, please ask your questions. I love answering questions. And as you know, I can pull your questions into the live stream. But let's give everybody maybe a couple of minutes. I actually started this live stream right on time, which I typically don't do. But if you're out there, just say hello. I think Chris is here. Hey, Chris, thanks for showing up. I really do appreciate it. Chris says, hello, Mike. The sound and picture is great. That sounds good. Yeah, a couple times ago, I had the sound way too loud. I think it was clipping a little bit. But let's give it maybe another 2-3 minutes for everybody to show up. He said, good to see you, my good friend. Same here, Chris. I often count on Chris showing up. Chris has done incredibly well. I'm so proud of him. He lost like over 70 pounds. I hear his wife is doing amazingly well as well. She lost like 90 pounds, which is so unbelievable. I'm so proud of both of them. Hey, Dev showed up. Yeah, Debbie's in my private group too. This is great. Thanks, Dev. Thanks for showing up. I know you're so busy. Debbie and Chris are both in my private coaching group, which is really wonderful. If you're interested in my private coaching group, just DM me, Coach. I'll send you a whole bunch of information. There should be some links below this video, too. Hello, Mike. I'm glad you're live. Oh, thanks so much. This is so great. A lot of people are showing up today. Manisha, thanks for showing up. The gang is back. Hi, Chris. Oh, that sounds great. You're saying hello to each other. We'll give people a few more minutes. This is the first time I did a big email to everybody, and I did it the right way this time. I have a multiple different email lists, and I was using my Fitness Contrarian as my main link. And most people don't know me as Fitness Contrarian, but I really think I'm going to get that podcast up and going again, the Fitness Contrarian podcast. I'm mostly going to take all these live streams and just take the audio out of them, put them in the live stream. Plus, on Spotify now, you're able to show a video when you're doing the live stream. So I think I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start like taking all the audio and these recordings and put them on the podcast. And I'm going to start doing some other podcasts too. There's a few people I want to interview that already agreed to do it. I work out this psychiatrist. He agreed to do it. He's also going to come into my private group and do a presentation. I also have my chiropractor buddy's going to show up. I'm also going to interview the guy who actually hired me in one of the first gyms I worked in over 45 years ago. And we managed this gym together in Westchester. And he said he's going to let me interview him. He's a great guy. He's the best, too. Let's see. We go one more. Say hello to one more person, then we'll get started. Hey, Mike. Your meals helped me lose 15 pounds last year. Oh, Angela, that's so great. I'm really excited about that. Fantastic. Thanks for showing up. Okay, so let's get going. What do we got? 4:04. I'm sure more people will show up as we get going. Okay, let's see what Chris has to say, too. Okay, Chris, what is a good age to take my daughter to the gym? She's 10 right now. I was thinking 13, 14. Yes, Chris, I would wait till about 13 or 14. The main thing you have to be concerned about with kids is the growth plates. What I mean by growth plates is that when the bones are still growing, gals seem to get fully grown, quicker at an earlier age than boys do, is that the end of the bones are still somewhat soft. I don't know if your daughter ever had an x-ray. You can almost tell in the x-ray like the soft end plates. Like you don't want to bruise those end plates of the bones. So you be careful a little bit with the weights. Plus, I would rather your daughter be playing sports and doing things along the lines of that. But a little bit of resistance training, mobility, yoga, things like that, 13, 14. That's kind of when I started working around 13. I started doing resistance training, but I overdid it. I wouldn't want your daughter to overdid it. We'll talk about it, Chris, though. And I can give you a whole daughter, like a whole routine I think she should do. Because even though I specialize in people over the age of 40, over the age of 50, since I've owned the gym for 37 years, I have trained so many kids. You know how many kids I taught how to ride a bike? When I first got into this business, I used to go to people's homes, train people in their homes, and multiple times I had parents who didn't want to teach their kids how to ride a bicycle, like run after a bike. I taught dozens of kids how to ride their bike too, and it's actually so fun. It's so exciting to see a kid ride a bike for the first time. I used to actually love doing it. I really, really love doing it. Well, let's see, Brian. I like your meal ideas. Oh, thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it. That sounds great. Okay, so let's get going. So we're going to talk about, before we show the meals, I'll give you a little idea because I don't want to, I'll show you how the meals look just so you see. I'm going to switch the slides like this, and I have 11 different meals to go through. But what I first want to go through is just some general structure, because really when it comes to it, the things you have to be most concerned about when it comes to losing weight, no question about it. Calories, number one. And then number two, I would say eating an adequate amount of protein. And number three, I like to throw fiber in there, because if you're eating a high fiber diet, it guarantees me and you that you're eating healthy. That means you're eating fruits, you're eating vegetables, plus fiber, similar to protein, has a great, very, very high satiety. But truthfully, guys, you can eat anything you want. And if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. That's the key to everything. That's why keto works. That's why low carb works. That's why the carnivore diet works, because you're in a calorie deficit. And those styles of eating make people get into a calorie deficit without necessarily counting calories. But I love counting calories. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy, but you learn so much if you just counted calories with like MyFitnessPal, one of the apps. Everyone in my private coaching group, I have my own app that I give them that I think works better than all the others. It's a great app where you track all your calories. But once you track calories and start getting an idea of how many calories in the food you're eating, and you know how to pick foods that are high in protein, low in calories, I would call that the protein to calorie ratio, which is so important when it comes to eating meals. They're going to help you maintain your muscle mass, which is going to keep your metabolism up, while at the same time keeping calories under control. So when we get to the actual meals, you'll see why I pick these meals, and I'll break it all down for you too. So let's first go to the first slide. I know everyone who follows me here, you follow me on YouTube, Instagram, you know I have my basic calorie formula. But let's talk about probably the best possible way to do it. But it's a little bit time consuming. And typically when people start working with me, even privately, I don't really don't really have them do this, because most people want to lose weight like the first day, which I totally agree. I know what it is. I think people who just like lose interest or just like get discouraged, and it's so common to get discouraged so quickly with weight loss, is that I want people just losing weight the first week when they start working with me. But if you're not in a big rush and you want to take 2 weeks and just track all the calories you're eating in an app and try to figure out what are your maintenance calories. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're eating 2,000 calories a day, you're a 160-pound gal, 170-pound guy, and you're not gaining or losing weight, and you're tracking all your calories, you're entering everything in MyFitnessPal, you're eating 2,000 calories a day, and you know you're not gaining or losing. You know that's your maintenance calories. You want to lose weight? Go into a calorie deficit. Take 750 calories off that. Take 500 calories off that, you lose a pound a week. That's a really good way of doing it, but it's a little bit slower. So what I generally like to do with people, and this is a formula that I've kind of perfected over doing this for like 40 years and trying so many different things. A general rule I like to use is multiply your body weight by 10 or 11. So I gave the example here. Let's say you weigh 175 pounds. If you eat 1,750 calories per day, I think that's a nice calorie deficit to be in. I think you'll lose weight relatively quickly doing that. I think it's manageable. It's aggressive, but not crazy aggressive. Yes, there are times when I want people to be even more aggressive. Other times I may have someone who wants to be less, but that's a great formula. And as you guys know, my progressive cycling method, I love cycling calories. So what I do with a lot of people sometimes is that I take their present weight, multiply it by 10, then I take their goal weight. So they say this person who's 175 wants to weigh 150, I'll multiply their goal weight by 10. So one day I may have them eat 1,750, the next day I might have them eat 1,500 calories, keep on cycling. I like that strategy a lot, because when you eat more, it kind of boosts up your metabolism. It minimizes metabolic adaptation, which metabolic adaptation just means that when you're losing weight, your metabolism is going to slow down because you're a smaller person. It's a normal, natural thing. It's almost like a survival type thing, which is a great thing. Well, I think Rita's here. Hey, Rita, thanks for showing up. I appreciate you showing up. That's great. So that's my basic calorie formula. I know this presentation is more on meal ideas, but I just want to get that in your head. You have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. And then just make a little bit note here. Generally, maintenance calories are about 15 times your body weight. You multiply your body by 15. That's a general rule for maintenance calories. Obviously, your activity level has a factor. Then let's talk about the importance of protein. You'll see with all these different meals that I picked, the cornerstone of the meal is always going to be protein. That's why I use the term prioritize protein. It's a common phrase now. Always prioritize protein. with all your meals. So EJ is here from the UK, which is great. Wales, wow, that's great. I love to go to Wales. I've never been. I'm dying to go. Okay, I absolutely love your channel. You are the best. I take on board all your advice. Oh, that's so nice of you, EJ. I really appreciate it. I have maintained my weight loss for the 1.5 years. Oh, that's fantastic. Love to hear that. You know, it's funny. I do have to say, 75% of the comments, maybe more, I get such nice comments from people, which keeps me going. I got over 1,000 videos on YouTube, but I do get a lot of, like, you know, criticism too. So I really love the nice comments. It makes me feel good. It makes me want to make my next video, you know, which I love doing. Okay, so let's talk about why protein is so important. First of all, I think one of the main reason is the satiety level of proteins play highest in everything. Some people say fat. I think it's protein. And there's multiple reasons why. You have a nice 8-ounce piece of steak. You have a 12-ounce piece of flounder. You're satisfied for hours. And there's a little science behind that. First of all, I know those GLP-1. GLP-1 is that hormone that reduces appetite, satiety. That's what, like, Ozempic, you know, these medications people are taking increases GLP-1. But protein does the same thing too. And one of the main reasons how those medications work is that they kind of slow down digestion and they make you less hungry. That's what protein does. When you eat like a steak, it can take you up to 12 hours to process and digest that steak. So it's actually, in a way, slowing down digestion. That's one of the reasons why it's so incredibly satisfying to have a steak, to have some salmon, to have some eggs, to have protein. Let's see what James has to say. Hey, James, thanks for showing up. Good afternoon, Mike, from sunny California. Back on track. Oh, that sounds great. I'm glad you're back on track, and California sounds good. I don't know if you saw my post on Instagram today. I wish I can do stories on YouTube, but, you know, there's no option for that. But it's been crazy. I know a Deb who she walks every day. She lives close to me. She's out in the snow, and I'm so proud of her for doing that. I do that most of the time, but it's been I have that Raynaud's disease, so sometimes when it's like 4 degrees and windy and snowy, maybe I skipped. But I got my walk in today. It was cold and windy. I walked along the Hudson River. I posted some pictures. But walking outside is like the best thing you can do for your physical and mental health. I absolutely love it. If I don't get my morning walk in, I definitely do not feel as good for the day mood-wise, and I don't sleep as well as night. That circadian rhythm is so key. Your 24-hour internal clock. It regulates like every processing in the body. So if you can get outside every single day and get that morning walk in, or at least just a 10-minute stroll outside with that natural sunlight, without the glasses on, without the makeup on, is one of the best things you can do for your health. This is Deb. I'm going to have steak for dinner and then take a walk on the treadmill tonight since I work. That's so great. I'm really fantastic, Deb. Fantastic. So let's also talk about the thermic effect of food. See, the thermic effect of food is it determines like what percentage or how many calories you're actually burning up digesting and processing the food. Protein is number one by far. So when you eat, say, 100 calories of protein, 25 to 30% of those calories are actually free because it takes time. That's what correlates to the satiety, to that GLP-1, to the slowdown of digestion. It takes hours to digest and process protein. It creates that thermic heat within the body, and it just burns up calories. So that's the amazing thing. So sometimes, just by increasing the amount of protein within your diet, that alone can put you in a calorie deficit without necessarily reducing your calories. Let's go back to that first guy I was talking about. Remember the guy I referenced earlier who's 175 pounds? Say they want to get down to 150, and let's say they were eating 2,000 calories a day, and that's their maintenance calories, but they were eating a low percentage of protein calories. Just by increasing the amount of protein in their diet from, say, 10% to, say, 30%, that can reduce their calories by a couple of hundred calories. That alone can put them in a calorie deficit, and that alone can help them lose weight. It's really incredible. Protein is key. It's plus you want to maintain your muscle mass. That's the big one. That's the number 3. See, your metabolism slows down when you get older. The main reason why that happens is obviously your people are less active when they're older, so that's a factor. The other main reason is you lose muscle mass. So along with resistance training, eating a high protein diet is probably the second best thing besides resistance training you can do to keep your metabolism up, to maintain your muscle mass, to make sure you're functional, strong, and healthy as you age. It's incredibly important. So the satiety is highest with protein, the thermic effect is highest with protein, and it's, besides resistance training, is the best way to help you maintain your muscle mass. And my general formula is multiply your body weight by 0.7. So if you're a 200-pound guy, 200 multiplied by 0.7 is 140. I'd want you to get at least 140 grams of protein per day. You can go higher. You can go upwards of 1 gram per pound of weight, right? A little bit more scientific way of doing it is if you don't know your lean muscle mass, which most people don't, you can multiply your body weight by 0.9. But anywhere between 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, I think is a good, adequate amount of protein. And I always like to bring this up to something called the protein leverage hypothesis. Some researchers have concluded that why people overeat is because they're not eating enough protein. They're not hitting that adequate amount of protein, so they're always hungry. And the body will keep on striving for more protein and make you overeat calorie-wise if you don't hit your protein requirement. So I think this formula will work really well for most people. Obviously, if you're a bodybuilder, you're a power lifter, you're running marathons, you may even want to go more. You may want to go 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you do have a tremendous amount of weight to lose, like if you have to lose 75 or 100 pounds, you may want to use a little bit more your goal weight to calculate your protein because you have so much excess body fat. That's a factor. Let's say you're 300 pounds, you really want to weigh 200. I would probably calculate your protein, maybe 1 gram per pound, and have you maybe eat 200 grams of protein a day. So keep that in mind too. And the other big one we'll talk about here is fiber. I think fiber is key. I know a lot of people consider fiber to be the anti-nutrient, right? It stops you from absorbing different vitamins, minerals, things like that. I think when you really look at the research, I would say most of it is so positive about fiber. It's good for the digestive system. It feeds the good bacteria within your stomach. Similar to protein, slows digestion. The satiety is very high in fiber. And I find that's why like the carnivore diet to me would be more of a short-term diet. I think it's a good elimination diet. But I truly do think you need the fiber. I think, animal protein, fruits and vegetables, you can't go wrong. So I would want most people to eat at least 20 grams of fiber a day. I'm upwards of 40, 45. Like I say, one avocado, 14, 15 grams of fiber. That's half your fiber for a day. For most people don't get 5, 6 grams of fiber in their diet per day. Or they're getting it, maybe the cereal, but I'm not a fan of cereal because of the sugar, the glycemic index in cereal. But definitely, calories, protein, fiber are the big three. Those are the things you got to be concerned about. And let's do one more slide, then we'll get to the meals. This is just like the optimal meal structure. Like whenever I'm designing a diet program for someone, just a meal plan, the first thing I always think about, obviously, is keeping calories under control. The second thing I think about is how much protein they're eating. So when you're making your meals, always think protein first. That should be the cornerstone of every meal. And then just think fruits and vegetables for fiber, different vitamins, different minerals, different nutrients, and think rainbow. Like rainbow of colors. So if you're having like a steak and you're having string beans, then do like a sweet potato. So you get the green, you get the orange. If you're doing like, salmon and you're having cauliflower and maybe red beets, just think color. You're having a salad, you're throwing like a rainbow color, yellow, orange, and green peppers. You want you want those different pigments, you want the different vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that come from a rainbow. So always base your meal around a nice piece of protein. Obviously, if you're vegetarian or vegan, it gets a little bit more challenging. And then go with fruits and vegetables, and you cannot go wrong. I really do love it. Let's see what Rita has to say. What's your thought on carnivore? I find it difficult to sustain. Yeah, Rita, I think it's like I said, I think it's a good short-term strategy. I have read Paul Saladino's book, and I follow him. And even Paul Saladino, he's an MD. I think he has 2 different medical degrees, and he's probably one of the most outspoken person about the benefits of a carnivore diet. And if someone doesn't know what the carnivore diet is, it's pretty much a meat-based and animal protein-based diet. There's all different ways of defining it. Some people will consider a carnivore diet, it's okay to eat eggs, it's okay to eat, dairy if it's coming from a cow. Other people say, no, I'm only eating meat. Some people will say carnivore level 1 would be meat, and maybe you're allowed to have some fibrous type vegetables with it. There's all different ways of defining it. But if you're strictly doing a straight up carnivore diet and only eating meat First of all, it's hard to get a little vitamin C. That's why they recommend you maybe have organ meats along with it, because liver is pretty high in vitamin C. If you're eating organ meats and then you're getting, and you're eating pretty much just animal protein, I still think long-term you're going to have issues. Hard to say when. I know Paul Saladino did it for like a couple of years. He started having electrolyte issues, but he is a very active guy. He lives in Costa Rica. He surfs 2 hours a day. So he started incorporating now fruit within his diet. He doesn't really eat vegetables because he's like he thinks vegetables have the lectins in them and have these anti-nutrients and it's bad for autoimmune and kind of like there's all these protective mechanisms in plants, similar to Dr. Gundry. Like, there's so many different opinions out there. But I think if you truly have like autoimmune issues, or maybe you have IBS, or you have some chronic type things that you just can't get rid of, the big benefit about the carnivore diet is that it does eliminate all these other foods. And most people can process protein pretty safely, pretty easily. And it's a nice, maybe you do carnivore for a couple of weeks, you see how you feel. If you start feeling a teeny bit better, you stick with it. Maybe you start introducing like one new food at a time to phase yourself out of a carnivore. Most people just are in such an aggressive calorie deficit when they go on a carnivore diet, and they're not necessarily hungry due to the thermic effect, the slow digestion, the high protein helps you maintain your muscle mass. Definitely benefits. I fool around with it here and there. Me personally, I'll do it for like 2 weeks every now and then, and maybe I'll do it, but I still like a little bit of fiber with it. Joe Rogan talked about it all the time. He did it. He lost like a whole bunch of weight on it. He did it short term. I think a more of a long-term approach carnivore would be do what Paul Saladino does. Carnivore and then some fruits. If you still want to stay away from the vegetables because you want to keep the lectins out and you want to avoid the nightshades and the anti-nutrients, you can still get all your electrolytes, your fiber, a whole bunch of vitamins, minerals, things like that by eating the fruits like an avocado, berries. Paul Saladino eats about 200-300 grams of carbohydrates a day from fruit. But he's super active and he's a shredded type guy. Interesting though, Rita. I mean, it's definitely something to think about. I do think it's something I wouldn't do indefinitely though, the carnivore diet. Hope that was helpful. Let's say James. This is James. I do a somewhat carnivore diet right now, but I add avocado, eggs, tuna, sardines, and I add proteins. That's kind of what I do, James. I like that because I am so animal based. I just stay away. Every now and then I have a cheat day. Like, I don't know if you saw a picture I did last Saturday. I think I had some pasta. But typically, I'm animal protein, fruits and vegetables. I mean, I'm maybe doing a little bit more vegetables than you, but avocados are fruit, right? Tomatoes are fruit. Cucumbers are fruit. I eat a lot of all those type of foods. And like arugula salad, low in oxalates, it's almost free. 100 grams of arugula, it's like almost no calories at all. I think it's something like that, James, you can do indefinitely and be super healthy, great blood work, all that, for sure. Okay, so let's jump into these meal examples now. Before I lose everybody, let me pull up the next slide. Let's see. Okay, I made this PDF for everyone in my private coaching group, and let me plug myself again. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I'd love to work with you. You'll see a link below this video. You can click that link. You can just comment coach or contact me. We'll set up a free Zoom call, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together. So these are kind of some of the things I do with my private coaching clients. I'm always sending them meals PDFs. I got 11 different meals to go through. I wanted to break down the calories so you have an idea. I tried to do some smaller meals, and then I tried to do some larger meals. So this is a meal that's on the smaller side. Let's say you're a gal, and I have you eating 1,200 calories a day, but I do want you to hit 100 grams of protein. This is a great small meal. People get on my case because I eat sardines all the time, but I love sardines. Sardines are a superfood. Besides being high in protein, sardines are probably one of the highest sources of creatine. And creatine. I'll give you the quick science on creatine. Creatine helps the body make ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, which is stored directly in the muscle. Like 5 to 7 seconds of muscle contraction is done. Like all muscle contraction is fueled by ATP. The second energy system is the creatine. When you use up ATP, you're left with ADP, adenosine diphosphate. I know there's a little sciencey. And the body pulls a phosphate molecule from creatine to make ATP. So when you eat animal protein, it's high in creatine. Sardines are really high in creatine. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to help your muscle contraction. It helps the body make ATP easier. And a lot of people take a creatine supplement, which I recommend. I think it's a great supplement to take. Hey, here's a Deb. We're just talking about sardines. Yeah, no, we just had a call. I had a private call with Debbie. We were talking about sardines. I love them. They're superfood. Plus high in those omega-3s. Those omega-3 fatty acids. I mean, what we mean by like essential fatty acids, these are the fats that you have to get from your diet. The body can't make them. Similar to those essential amino acids, the proteins, amino acids that build it back to protein. You eat a steak, the body breaks it down into amino acids, right? There are some that are essential. That means you have to get them from the food you eat. There are some that are conditional, where the body can make them from time to time, and then there's non-essential, where the body can always make them. So the key is when it comes to your fats, you want those essential fatty acids, those omega-3s, those great fats. Some 6s too, obviously, but omega-3s are great for reducing inflammation, are great for brain health. So that's why you'll always see me eat a lot of fatty fish. So that's why I love this meal. It's so simple. First of all, meal prep is key. These are the foods that are always in my house, and I recommend all my coaching clients keep cans of sardines, keep smoked salmon, keep avocados, keep blueberries, right? Keep like frozen shrimp in the refrigerator. These are things that you don't have to think. You come home, you're hungry, you don't know what to eat. Instead of grabbing some potato chips or a cookie out of the cupboard, you take some smoked salmon. It's so much more satisfying anyway. You take a couple blueberries with a hard-boiled egg. I always keep half a dozen hard-boiled eggs in my refrigerator. I'm always boiling 6 at a time, constantly. I love hard-boiled eggs. There's nothing more satisfying than like two hard-boiled eggs and like half a cup of blueberries. You're not hungry for a couple of hours from a little snack like that. So I love this meal. This is a can of sardines, about 4 ounces of smoked salmon, half a cup of blueberries. We're talking anywhere between 470 calories, and we're talking 45 to 50 grams of protein. And for a gal who's only eating 1,200 calories, this is great. This is a great example of a really good calorie to protein ratio. That's how I always look at everything. 450 calories, but you're getting 50 grams of protein. And you're getting a decent amount of fiber from the blueberries. Not crazy on the fiber this particular meal, but you're getting a high omega-3 meal. You'll see some of the other meals are going to be higher in the fiber. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this I think I actually had this today. This is like a recent picture. This was my lunch today. This is how I broke my fast. Today. Actually, I was supposed to do my upper body today, but the weather was good. I did like a double walk. I said an hour, but I actually walked 90 minutes along the Hudson River today, even though it was crazy, cold and windy. So I didn't eat, just had some coffee this morning, and this is how I broke my fast today. So I must have fasted maybe 16 hours today, something like that. Had 4 ounces of flounder. I don't know if you can see that little piece here. This flounder was left over from the night before. I must have ate a pound of flounder yesterday. That's what I find too. The flaky white fish, similar to shrimp, you can really eat a lot of it because it's not like you're getting that much fat with it, so you can probably eat more. So if you're having a hard time eating enough protein, I think fish is a great way to go. I know some people don't eat fish. There's multiple examples of non-fish meals here too, but if you can eat fish, research shows you eat fish twice a week, you're going to live longer, right? Fish is just a great thing to eat. So we got about 4 ounces of flounder there. Once again, I threw in a can of sardines, which popped us up to about 50 grams of protein, half an avocado, right? Once again, half a cup of blueberries. I eat blueberries every single day. It's my favorite fruit, loaded with so many good things. And over 100 grams of arugula. And one of the reasons why I like arugula so much is that arugula is high in nitrates, which naturally convert to nitric oxide within the body, which is incredibly good for blood flow. Nitric oxide is like a naturally occurring molecule within the body that declines with age. If eating a high nitrate diet, and we're not talking nitrate from a hot dog, like good nitrate from arugula, can potentially possibly help lower blood pressure, opens things up, gives you a good pump in the gym. I eat arugula or some type of high nitrate type food every single day. Let's see what James had to say. James, how many meals do you eat a day, and what time is your first meal? It varies a little bit, James, but generally, for me, I'm a 2-mad plus a protein bar, protein shake, or protein snack. So I typically eat 2 meals a day. So this would be one of my meals. I also think maybe how I did this, that I put this in ChatGPT right before this live stream to calculate calories. I typically sometimes would go more than this because there's only half an avocado here. If I typically would probably do a whole avocado, which would add an additional 150 calories or so to this. So that would bring me up to 650. And I didn't put any dressing on the salad this particular time. And I left that off here. Sometimes I would put a little bit of EVOO and balsamic vinegar, which would bring this up to, say, 700 calories. That would be more of a typical lunch. I typically, on the days I don't do my resistance training, I probably will fast about 16 hours, sometimes 18. Break my fast with a meal like this, say 1, 2 o'clock. Then maybe I'll have dinner 6 o'clock. And that'll be a little bit of a lower calorie day for me. And I may do like a Quest protein bar, no-cal protein bar, maybe like a Greek yogurt as a snack. So I typically do 2 MAD that. But on my resistance training days, that would be like cardio days, I do like to take in some protein before a workout. And I do a little bit more of an early time restricted eating where maybe 10 o'clock, I may have like 3 hard-boiled eggs and some blueberries. I may do a Greek yogurt with some blueberries. I may do a protein shake, one like Garden of Life whey protein isolate. But typically meal-wise, 2 meals, and I really try to eliminate the snacks. And sometimes too, even with a meal like this, excuse me, like if I know I'm only having half an avocado, I may have a handful of cashews after this. I might have a row of 85% dark chocolate. My general rule is for me, my maintenance calories are around 2,300. So I may have 2 meals, 800, 900 calories, something like that. That's 1,700 calories. Protein snack, little dark chocolate, maybe a handful of cashews, or maybe like sometimes I like to eat nuts in the shell. I like to break open some walnuts and some almonds, things like that. I'm going to wrap 2,300. And then Sunday, it's funny, we talked about this with Dep 2 on the private call. I probably overeat Saturday nights. I haven't been drinking alcohol lately, but I probably will again. I like drinking wine from time to time. I've been doing this dry thing since the first of the year. You know, I generally overeat Saturday night. Like I did post this incredible like bolognese, like pasta dish my wife made. She does it so good. And I had like this big bowl of pasta with bolognese sauce on it. I had some Arthur Avenue bread. I had some super sal. That's that Italian cold cut. So I overate last Saturday night. And I see it's all about calories. So what I do on Sunday, and this is my typical move, is that I do an OMAD on Sunday. Well, only 1 meal high in protein, so it's a low calorie day. So maybe on a Sunday, I might just do a meal like this with a little dark chocolate and some nuts. I may only take in 1,000 calories, where I typically take 23. So that 1,200 calories, you know, that I saved, I probably ate almost that much extra Saturday night. That's the whole thing, and that's my 2-day rule. Never overeat 2 days in a row. Never drink alcohol 2 days in a row. Never miss your workout 2 days in a row. If you live like that, it makes your life so much easier, and then you don't feel guilty. And don't get upset too when you have like a cheat day. You have a day where you overeat, and you wake up the next day you're 3-4 pounds heavier. It's gonna happen. It's almost a good sign because you just filled your muscles up with glycogen. And you just gain water weight. You know, I say this almost every live stream. Like, for you to gain a pound of true body fat is 3,500 calories, right? A banana is 100 calories. So for you to be say you wake up one day, you're 2 pounds heavier. You have to say to yourself that I eat an additional 70 bananas worth of calories to be 2 pounds heavier the next day. You know, it's water weight. And then as soon as you cut back, within 2-3 days, you lose all the water. So I know myself, like after a Saturday night meal, when I have pasta like that, I wake up the next day, I'm 4 pounds heavier. I don't freak out because I know that I'm going to have a nice OMAD day, and then by Tuesday, I'm going to be back down to my normal weight again. I lose all the water. Well, I say, hey, Angela, okay, about how many cups in 1 gram? You know, Angela, to be truthful, I don't know. This is what I do. I buy the container, and it's like a standard size, like 150 grams. And I just eyeball it, I grab like 2/3, and I do that. You could weigh it. If I had to guess, I would say 4 or 5 cups. It's pretty, you know, it depends how fluffy it is. I would say 4 cups of arugula. You can Google it. ChatGPT is unreal for this type of stuff. I can do it right after this for you and leave a comment. But ChatGPT, just Google it. It'll tell you. But I like to eyeball things. I have weighed meals in the past, but I don't weigh much anymore. But I love the idea of eyeballing. Even when I buy my meat, chicken, things like that, I look at the package. Say I buy a pound of chopped meat. I'll eat 2/3. My wife will get 1/3. You know, so I know I'm getting, 10 ounces. That's how I do things. When to fishmonger, I say cut me out up 10-ounce pieces of salmon, so I know I got my 65, 70 grams of protein every time to save time, so you don't have to weigh things. But I do have a couple of people in my private coaching group. Tom, I know Tom just bought a scale. He was showing me the scale. He finds it funny. Really loves weighing everything. Oh, I took too big of a sip there. There's all different ways of doing it. Thanks, Angela. Thanks. Sounds good. Okay, let's go to the next meal. Okay. Also, if you want me to send you this PDF, I can do that too. I know, but I would probably have to email it to you. But I think everyone here is pretty much on my email list. If not, let me know. and I can email this to you. It's hard to send people PDFs. I don't know why that is. I tried to put them in, even in Instagram DM. You can't DM someone a text. I have to send them to like somewhere else. I may be able to put this in Google Docs and maybe send you a link to Google Docs, something like that. I love this meal though too. I wanted to show you some meals that are not fish, even though I lean towards pescatarian. I just love fish. These are 3 chicken thighs. I also try to eat something fermented every single day. Like if I don't have sauerkraut, if I don't have pickles, if I don't have a Greek yogurt, I'll do apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon or 2 in water, maybe twice for the day. Even balsamic vinegar is fermented. I don't really drink that wine much anymore, but even a little bit of wine, even like a shot glass of wine, just a couple of ounces, you get the fermented effect of it, which is really good. Let's see what James has to say here. I have a hard time having a cheat meal. It leads to eating bad. Got to be careful if I have a carb addiction. I hear you, James. It's interesting because I may not have it as bad as you, but I definitely have it too. Because just recently I had a couple of things. I forget where it was. I think, I went to Miami. I went to this like fitness conference, and then my wife met me, with one of my kids. It was great because my daughter has a really close friend who lives in Miami. They went to school together, and I was eating. I was like sick on this trip too. I don't know what I had. What is it, COVID or something? I just felt I was sick. I had fever, and all I did was walk on the treadmill in the gym. There was no one in the gym. It was great because I woke up super early. The gym was empty, but I got into this thing where I was eating like rice and beans and that chicken steak. I love that Cuban food. Just me eating, and I did it probably. We were there for like 6-7 days. I must have done it like 5 nights in a row. By the end of that trip, James, I was craving like rice and beans and sweet plantains. I was eating those fried bananas, but they sweeten them up. And it instantly and I'm like, I've been doing moderate carb now for over a decade. And all it took was 5 days of me eating like rice and beans like that and plantains. I was like, I got home, I still wanted it. I just had to I did a 24-hour fast just to flesh it out of me. So I hear you. You have to know yourself. See, me, just one day of that pasta, I'm okay. Because I know the next day I'm going to tighten up and do OMAD. But I do have my trigger foods. Like I always talk about it, potato chips for me. I don't know what it is with me with potato chips. I love potato chips. I just can't keep them in the house. I mean, if I have potato chips like one day, I want them the next day. So maybe on a party or something like that, I may have a little bit of potato chips, but I don't keep them in the house. Or else, I hear you, James. You have to know yourself. That's so true. So this meal here, we got 3 chicken thighs, a nice serving of sauerkraut. That's another free food. The cabbage and the fermentation is so good. It has to be naturally fermented. So I buy the Barbells brand, the pickles and the sauerkraut. I love them. Once again, you know me, I'm an avocado every day and some blueberries. So we got 3 big chicken thighs, half an avocado, blueberry sauerkraut. And when I make those chicken thighs, we buy 2 pounds of it, sometimes even 3 pounds. We'll make 3 trays. So we have it for dinner that night, and then I'll have it for two or 3 more days. Lunches, me and my wife will always eating it for the next 2-3 days. So I always recommend that, having a big something in the refrigerator, whether it's a pot of chili or chicken soup, where you, like I'm saying, you make 2-3 pounds of chicken thighs, you grill up 2-3 pounds of chicken breast, or when you make your steak, you make some extra. Always make extra with the animal protein so you have it. Like you boil a dozen eggs, you keep that smoked salmon, you keep the sardines in the house, so you never get caught. This is James again. You know how it is growing up in Italian house, bread, pasta, pizza, all homemade. I can hear you there, James. I know exactly what you mean. We used to, we had, I'm sure you did the same thing. Every Sunday, my grandfather, when I was a kid, we all lived in the same apartment building. My grandparents lived on the 5th floor. My father's brother lived on the 1st floor. We lived on the 3rd floor, and my mom's best friend, from the Bronx, her middle school, high school best friend lived on the 2nd floor. And then Sundays we would go to my grandfather's house for pasta and everything. So I know exactly how you felt. And I grew up, just growing up, I grew up in Yonkers. I literally, just Saturday Night Fever, what's it, John Terrio, I ate pizza every day of my life from the age of, I think, maybe 13 to maybe 19, literally in how you grew up in Yonkers. First of all, there's incredible pizzerias all around Yonkers, Mount Vernon, the Bronx, great pizza. That New Haven pizza. You know, they like I forget the guy from Boston. You know the guy, the one bite guy, always critiques pizza. He's been to all the pizza places I grew up with. And he gives them all incredible ratings. There's one Johnny's in Mount Vernon, and his incredible pizzeria. We were able. I don't know if they do this anymore with kids. When I was in middle school, we could leave, and we instead of eating in the cafeteria, we would just go get pizza. Same thing in high school. We would just leave. We'd walk to a pizzeria. When I got a little older, we'd drive to pizzeria. So even when I was in, and it's so inexpensive back then, pizza. You get a slice of pizza for $1. Now pizza's expensive. So I did eat pizza my entire life, and I really do miss it. Now it's such a treat when I have pizza. And I like that thin Napolitano type pizza too. I like the New Haven pizza a lot. I've been to all those places. It's a lot of fun. But Johnny's is still my favorite in Mount Vernon. Philippe with Mount Vernon Johnny's. It's been reviewed. It's like a world-renowned pizzeria. Third generation. It's been around 75 years. It's incredible. And I think that guy I'm talking about, the guy, like one bite, I think he gave it a 9.3, which is like a killer rating. I've never been to Brooklyn for the place he gave like a 9.4 that kind of beat it. I'm dying to go there. I'll go one day. Let's see what we got here. You know, I wanted to give some really, really basic meals because I think that's the key to eating well. Like all you need in your life to maintain like good health and optimal weight is just come up with like 10 meals and keep on repeating them. You eat like that 90% of the time, and then you have fun 10% of the time when you go out or a Saturday night. You can't go wrong. I keep it incredibly simple. It's so funny. Why I love pork chops so much. I grew up with shake and bake. You know, I loved shake and bake as a kid. My mother would always make shake and bake. Even when my kids were little, I used to make them shake and bake all the time. They absolutely loved it. I don't do the shake and bake now because the breadcrumbs are like this high fructose corn syrup. There's all like, you know, junky breadcrumbs. But I'll just take those thin cut pork chops. I'll season them up with a little bit of salt, pepper, oregano. I think I put some curry spice on this. You make a sweet potato. I mean, could it be simpler than that? And the same thing here. Instead of just making 2, I'll make 3 trays of it. And then I'll eat that pork chops for lunch for the next 2-3 days. You know, 10 ounces of pork chops, thinly cut on the bone. I love eating around the bone. You get that collagen. 1 small sweet potato. You're talking under 700 calories, 70 grams of protein. Incredibly satisfying, delicious. You bake these things in the oven, 30 minutes, they're done. You know, you can't go wrong. 99-cent pizza outside the guard. Yeah, really? I mean, as of today? Oh, that's incredible, Deb. Is it good? Is it like, do you think it's real cheese and everything? That's interesting. See, Jamesy, me and my wife laugh when she brings home chips. I tell her that's Mike's trigger food. That's so funny. Don't bring them in. That's really funny. You listen to me, James, so you know that was like my mother was bringing me chips my whole life, especially when I moved out of the house. She, oh no, Mike, she's bringing me. She always bringing me chips when I was at school. She'd bring me chips. My wife did the same thing initially, and then I just had to say something. Said, please, no more chips. I'll be out of a job. No one's gonna listen to me if I get overweight, right? I have to curb myself every time I go there. That's interesting. I didn't think you could find 99-cent pizza, especially in New York City. That's amazing there. That's interesting. Cool. Yes, wow, that's incredible. 99 cents. I wonder if they're making money with 99 cents. They must be, right? Interesting. Now you pay, like in my day, in Westchester, you pay $4.50 for a slice of pizza. It's like unreal. It's not even that good most of the time either. Okay, and there's another meal I love. Shrimp is a great... you can eat a lot of shrimp. So that's why I put a high amount here. Like I can literally eat a pound of shrimp. I buy that Gulf shrimp frozen. This is another staple. It's always in my freezer. Sometimes I just like say I boil up if I buy them raw, already cleaned. I keep it in the refrigerator. I want a little protein snack. I just grab some shrimp. But this particular, and I think my wife was out this night out with her girlfriends. I ate a whole pound of shrimp. Once again, my arugula salad. I must have not had arugula salad for lunch. A quarter avocado just for a little bit of fat because I didn't want to put any salad dressing on the salad. And 1 tomato. We're talking 90 to 95 grams of protein with only 550 calories. Talk about a good protein to calorie ratio and incredibly satisfying. Most people probably wouldn't even be able to eat 16 ounces of shrimp. Even if you just did 10 ounces or 8 ounces, it's still incredible. This is such a great meal. And you don't have to be crazy like me too. You can put salad dressing on your salad if you want to. But I really recommend you measure it out. And I just think you should go with extra virgin olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Don't buy even the low calorie dressing. It's a little sugar something. So I would just go maybe teaspoon. No, I should say teaspoon or maybe extra virgin olive oil. Maybe 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. go to a 2-to-1 ratio, or maybe a little bit more. You can definitely put a little salad dressing in your salad. I don't want people gagging. I don't mind it because I find the avocado to be so high in oil and like the monounsaturated fats, the good fats, that I don't need the salad dressing. But you can put a little bit on. So say you put maybe 100 calories worth of salad dressing on that, would bump this up to 650 calories, which is still incredibly reasonable for 95 grams of protein, right? And you're getting some decent fiber from the avocado, tomato, and arugula. Another tremendous win, I think, a meal like this. So we're just about halfway through. I love this meal too. I just want to give some eggs. I like to do this all the time too. Like if I feel the protein source is a little on the low side, I'll add a Greek yogurt. Sometimes I'll even drink a protein shake along with the meal. I'll take some essential amino acids, like something like that. This is Deb. I squeeze lemon on my salad because I hate salad dressing and vinegar. That's incredible. I should have said that, Deb. We think alike, me and Deb. I love the idea of putting lemon on a salad. I think it's great. And I do that all the time too. And it doesn't break your fast. Like a lot of times in the morning when I have my black coffee. Lately I've been switching to that mushroom coffee. I really love it, that Four Sigmatic coffee. I just did that. Someone else in my group, this guy Tom, recommended it to me. I really love it. I just do black Sigmatic coffee, and then I'll have a big glass of water. I put some Red Mond's mineral salt in it, and then I'll squeeze a lemon or half a lemon in there. And lemon juice, there are some calories in it, so I guess technically, because there's 4 or 5 calories, it's breaking it fast, but there's 3-4 calories in a cup of coffee. But lemon juice will be sure to actually lower blood sugar, and it's not protein, so it's not going to mess up autophagy. So I think squeezing some lemon and water is great, and a great thing to do on salad. Sometimes too, when I do half an avocado, this is a trick with avocados, so I eat one every single day. Say I don't eat a whole avocado for lunch. I've done videos on this. I think I got like 100,000 views on this video one time, just showing people how to open an avocado. Now you cut it the circular way, so you twist it off. If you take the avocado, leave the pit in it, and then take lemon juice and squeeze lemon juice around the avocado, it won't go brown in the refrigerator for at least a day or so. If you want to wrap it and sell it, in something like that, that helps too. But the lemon juice stops the spoiling, stops the oxidation. I don't know what the mechanism is. Plus, I love how the lemon juice tastes on the avocado, which is great too. What about Primal Kitchen salad dressing? And I like Mark Sesson, and I like, I know he has that avocado salad dressing, right? That's really just avocado. I think he sold the company. I'm not, to be truthful, James, I've never even tried it. And I've never even looked at the exact ingredients of it. But I'm assuming that the avocado one is really probably just smushed, like ground up avocado. I have to look. Knowing him, if he did it and he was in control of it, I bet it's good. But just look at the sugar and the sweetness of it and just see. But knowing him, I bet it's probably very good. But if you want, send me a link. I'll check it out for you. Okay, so this is a great example. See, 4 pasture-raised eggs. Why I added the plain Greek yogurt? Because they're about 6-7 grams of protein per egg. Let's just give it the benefit. Let's say 7. That's 28 grams of protein. For me, that's not enough. But for some of the more petite gals here, maybe doing 1,200, 1,400 calories a day, you may be able to just get by with the 4 eggs. Or maybe only want 2 eggs, and then you do a plain Greek yogurt. You pick up another 16 grams of protein. So this popped this meal up to 40, 45 grams of protein. There is protein in avocado. You're going to get a protein from the vegetables, half an avocado. It must have been strawberry season when I did this. I know the strawberries are out now. They've been on sale in the store. I don't know why. I guess in some part of the world, I guess strawberries are abundant. But I lean towards berries with the fruit because the sugar content is probably the least. I just love blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. I really do love them. And this is just another great meal. We're talking, 40, 45 grams of protein, 500-600 calories. Perfect. Good amount of fiber in this one because you get the avocado. Strawberries are a little higher in fiber than blueberries. Love this meal. Let's go to another one. Just got a few more to go. What will be 15 minutes in, which is great. Kind of a similar thing. Just want to give you an option to show you some other things that I do. Same thing here. Only 3 pasture-raised eggs, half an avocado. It's apple. I love apples. So when I have apples, I don't know if you can see it. I like to put a little cinnamon on apples. First of all, I love cinnamon. Plus, there's a little research that says cinnamon helps control blood sugar too. So apple's a little sweet. A little cinnamon in the apple kind of neutralizes it to some degree, right? This time I went with a 2% plain Greek yogurt. And sometimes I like to do this a lot. I'll take a tablespoon or 2 of ground flaxseed, dump it on the yogurt, omega-3s, a little bit of fiber, get that nutty taste. And this time, just to increase the protein of the eggs, I always have my smoked salmon. I just put a few ounces, a couple of ounces of smoked salmon. So it popped this meal up to 50 to 55 grams of protein, good amount of fiber too, from the apple, from the ground flaxseed, from the avocado. But it did up the calories a little bit, to 700 calories. So for some of the guys here, this is like a perfect thing to do. Maybe the gals, you may want to cut back a little bit, portion size. That'd be Valentine's Day. Oh, sounds good. Great. There we go. Okay, so here's another meal. Really, and some of these meals visually may not look all that appealing. This one that doesn't look all that appealing, but actually it tastes great, and I absolutely love it. I had 6 ounces of grilled chicken breast. This must have been leftover grilled chicken from the night before. So if I had more chicken, I just would have had 10 ounces of chicken. But since I'm always thinking increase the protein, I also boiled up 3 eggs, which popped the protein up to 67 grams. I try to go for about 65 grams of protein every single time, which is really nice. Total calories here, only 500 calories, 67 grams of protein. I mean, that's pretty good. Plus blood orange. I love blood oranges. They're only around like one time of the year. I love a blood orange. So I love accenting my meals with a little bit of fruit. And you're seeing, I probably lean a little bit more towards fruit on the lunchtime meals. I show mostly lunchtime meals because I don't really film my evening meals when I'm having dinner. So a lot of these meals are kind of lunch. I pretty much have fruit with my lunch, whether it's blueberries in a salad, whether it's strawberries, whether it's an orange, whether it's an apple, just basic fruits with the protein, fat, and fiber. It kind of lowers the glycemic index. Okay, now I understand what you meant by Valentine's. There's always strawberries. You think the strawberries are more related to Valentine's Day? I mean, like strawberries and champagne and things like that? That's interesting. You're right, Dad. That's smart. Very cool. I guess you're right with that. Yeah, I didn't think of that. And plus, they look like hearts a little bit too, strawberries. But definitely strawberries and champagne. That's like Pretty Woman. Remember that movie? He brings the strawberries. He doesn't drink, right? But he brought her a bottle of champagne, and he brings strawberries to your hours, right? Because he wants the strawberries complement the taste of the champagne. It's kind of funny. I always love that movie. That's a movie, I know, there's certain movies, I know they're corny movies, but there's certain movies, I can watch a movie 10, 20 times. I really can. And there was multiple movies that I watch over and over again. Because you know how when you're looking for Netflix and all these different things, you spend an hour looking for a movie. I'd rather just put something on, even if I've seen it 10 times, Hey, John, thanks for showing up. This is great. Hey, sir, okay. Hey, sir, I've been trying this setup. Weights for 60 to 70 minutes. One day, the next day, light jog, run 45 minutes. You think this is going to get me there? Yeah, I love it. I love it, John. I think it's great. I even think 70 minutes may be a little on the long side, but sometimes I don't know how much you're resting in between sets. I don't know if you're only doing weights that day, or maybe you're doing a little mobility work and maybe you're warming up and you're cooling down. I think the magical number is more around 45, 50 minutes when it comes to the resistance training for your neural drive, for your concentration. Testosterone levels too can fade a little bit if you're really going really hard for like 60, 70 minutes. So keep that in mind unless you're really resting a lot between sets and you're trying to go maximally like that. But I love the mix of resistance, jogging, and you said light run, which I like. Like I wouldn't want you killing yourself for the 45 minutes. Say you're running a 10-minute mile, 11-minute mile, like something along the lines of that. I love that. I think that's great. I think it's great. This is Deb. Okay. Do you eat an apple and an avocado on the same day? It seems too many calories. Yeah, maybe for you, Deb, it could be, but not for me. I mean, I'm pretty good. Like I really come in. My maintenance is 22, 23, and I can be right around there even, and I just vary it. The apples, I love apples. I can eat them every single day. I just try not to. But it's so easy just to have an apple or to cut an apple up. I just love the taste of apple, especially with a little cinnamon. But that would be, if you notice that, I think, let me go back. I don't think it was a whole. Let me see. Which was that one? When I had the apple and the, hard to see from the picture. But if you look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 slivers of an apple, so probably half an apple. Yes, I've wrote down half. Yeah, with just half an apple. And actually half an avocado. So that particular day was half and half. But I understand your question. I think it's observant of you. Yes, maybe in your case, definitely a whole avocado and a whole apple. I think at the same meal, the accident meal would be excessive for you. Even a quarter, half, something like that. Hey, also, what are your thoughts on last meal of the day? How late before bed? How much food? Any examples? Yeah, what I would do, John, is I wouldn't if you can go 3 hours no food before bed, I think it'll be a tremendous plus. First of all, you're going to sleep better at night. You're not going to be digesting the food. Plus, I would say it's almost, there's so many different debates on like diets and philosophies, but almost everyone is in agreement. Almost. There are certain people who feel like you should still be pounding protein right before you go to sleep, but that's a rare thing. That's more of an older bodybuilding type thing. But most people will say if you eat later at night, your blood sugar will be higher in the morning, your blood sugar will be elevated overnight. I just watched another video. You know that guy, there's a couple of guys who do it, who with those 24-hour glucose monitors, they're always eating a meal, and they're saying how much was the spike in glucose. This guy, he didn't eat something good. It was kind of interesting, though. He had his normal meal, had a spike in blood sugar. Then, like 8, 9 o'clock, he was watching TV. He probably did it on purpose. He started eating. He didn't have something good, though. He had popcorn, but it had stuff in it, like the caramel on it. He ate like a whole big bag of this caramel popcorn. But he had the 24-hour glucose monitor. When he was making the video, I saw the stress in his face. He was like worried about himself. His blood sugar was crazy high. And this is a guy who like watches this stuff the whole night. So he had this like caramel corn, like 8, 9 o'clock. Maybe he went to sleep at 11. Up until the next morning, his blood sugar was way above, like almost diabetic numbers, like the whole night. So sometimes even if you're sleeping, he didn't mention how he slept. Say he did sleep good. It's not good to eat late at night. So I would say if you can go a minimum of 3 hours before you go to sleep, that would be it. But I think the earlier the better. Early time restricted eating is better than late time restricted eating. If you can have your last meal 6, 7 o'clock and go to sleep at 11, I think that'd be a big, big plus. And it depends. I would say the type of meal you're saying, you want to hit your protein requirement for the day. Let's say you're eating 150 grams of protein. If you were light on lunch and light on maybe breakfast, you may want to pile up on protein. The new research is showing now you can go upwards of 100 grams or more and utilize the protein in that meal. So don't think you got to cut back. So it just depends on what you ate the rest of the day. And also, it's more important your total protein for the day as opposed to when or how much in each meal. So if your goal is to hit 150 grams of protein, you can do it 100 grams and then 50 grams. You can do, 30, 30, 30, what's that, 60, and then 30, 30, 90. You can do it any way you want. It's just make sure you hit it if you can. Let's see. Yeah, insulin resistance. Yes, yeah, insulin resistance one is like the king of those guys. Yeah, no, definitely. I know. It's interesting. I was really surprised. I thought he would have what I thought would happen to this guy because he's pretty insulin sensitive because he knows about this eating thing. I think he's doing really great. He has a really big following. I thought he would get a crazy spike maybe for an hour or two and then come right down. He didn't. I'm talking a solid 8, 9 hours. He was like really high, which is kind of surprising to me. But it just showed. I think that's why it was the combination. I think if he had that, like, I don't know, but I think if he had that popcorn, that caramel corn, say for breakfast, and measured the same 8 to 10 hour period, I'm sure it would have dropped right back down because he would have been moving around. That's why the research is showing 10-minute walk post-meal can lower blood sugar 35%, which is like taking metformin. The fact that he ate that and then plopped down and then went to sleep and just laid down all day, the body just couldn't lower blood sugar. But if he had it in the morning or in the afternoon, instead was moving around and everything, that's why when you eat something, guys, if you can somehow move around a little bit, key. Especially sometimes, my wife thinks I'm crazy. Sometimes I jump on the treadmill. I'll walk for 10 minutes after a meal or something like that. It's really good. Hey, Nicholas, thanks for showing up. There's a great Mike. Is a barbell better than dumbbells? At your age, Nicholas, I know you're young. I think you can do a lot of barbell work, especially when it comes to deadlifting and things like that and bench pressing. But as you get older, a lot of the barbell work is much more like stressful for your joints. I'll give you like a typical example. I've done this before. Like when you're holding a barbell and you're doing a bench press, right? Your hands cannot come together. So they have to stick on the bar, right? But when you look at how the muscle system works, like your pectorals, your chest muscle attaches to your sternum, right? There's like an origin and an insertion, a beginning and end point. So it starts at your sternum, goes to your clavicle, then it attaches to your humerus, your arm bone, right? They call it horizontal adduction. So when you're pressing a weight, what your hands really want to do is they want to adduct. They want to come in. Because just think about it, your pec is pulling your arm across your body. But when your hands are stuck on the bar, and they can't slide together, what it does, unfortunately, it puts a little bit more shearing force on your shoulder joint. A young guy like you, and I bench pressed my whole life, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But most of the older clients that I train, like more guys my age, if you're over 40, I would mostly have them do dumbbell work. I only do dumbbell work now. Maybe I'll use a barbell for like an RDL or something like that, or a deadlift or something. But when it comes to my pressing and my rowing movements and things like that, I use mostly dumbbells. I love dumbbells. Plus, there's a little more neural drive. You got to concentrate. You got to balance the weight. So I would lean more towards dumbbells. But at your age, Nicholas, I wouldn't worry about it. I think you can do a good amount of barbell work right now. This is John again. Don't know if this is your forte, but did you have any foods that give you anxiety or depression? Then you cut them out. And I would say, not that this is my expertise, but I do deal with mental health with people, in my program, because that's why I'm into circadian rhythm and walking and meditation. I do get into that with people a little bit. What people say, I do think there is something to just a garbage diet, not getting your vitamins and minerals and nutrients. You can be deficient in things that can really put you in a bad state. No question about it. Like you're just living on junk food. Or if you're just eating like those high sugar type diets where you're spiking and crashing, how can you be in a good mental state when, it's like drinking coffee, having a cigarette, and you're eating a donut, which that's the American breakfast, right? I mean, it's like crazy. Dunkin' Donuts, or even they eliminate the cigarette. Because nicotine actually can make people feel good. There's some benefits of just taking nicotine, even cognitive benefits. It's kind of interesting. But, a donut with coffee, like a light coffee, a sweet light coffee with 2 donuts, you're going to be buzzing and feeling great for about 30 minutes. Then you're going to just feel horrible. So there is something to that, James. I hear what you're saying. No question about it. And then those omega-3s make you feel good. And some people think like Alzheimer's and dementia, there's a component to it where you have glucose intolerance to the brain. Definitely. I personally definitely feel more stable and more neutral when I'm eating my normal menu. Even sometimes when I go away, back to the Miami trip, sometimes I feel like I'm not as stable or in as good of a mood as I normally have, even though I'm on vacation, because I'm just not eating as well and I'm up and down a little bit more with my blood sugar and things like that. Blood sugar regulation, I think, is a key component to anxiety and things like that too. But there are things that I do every single day. Like I love that 4-7-8 breathing. I do that Andrew Weil 4-7-8 breathing. I've been doing it for like over a decade now, where when I wake up in the morning, I do like 4 or 5 rounds where I put the tongue in the roof of my mouth, I breathe in for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 7 seconds, blow out for 8 seconds. I've done videos on this. Before I get out of bed in the morning, I do the same thing. I do my gratitude practice every single day. Like before I get out of bed, I say, I'm thankful. And I do the same thing. I'm thankful for my kids, my wife, my parents, my brother. Like I go with my friends. I go through this little like 2-minute gratitude drill. Walking outside is like the best thing you can do for your physical and mental health, even for reducing anxiety. So I mean, definitely, James. There's components there, no question about it. This is Deb. What type of protein bar you recommend? I know you're not crazy about the protein bars, Debbie, but for me personally, I like the no-cal. It's a plant-based protein bar, about 200 calories, 21 grams of protein, 16 grams of fiber. That's why I like it so much. I know you don't like the Quest bar. I personally do like the Quest bar. My wife eats one every single day. That's a whey protein isolate and a milk protein bar. Also, about 880 calories, a little less than a no-cal, with 15 grams of fiber, also 21 grams of protein. And, some other bars I like too. I like this, but they're kind of a little bit more like a candy bar-ish, but I do eat them from time to time. It's I'll send you the link, Deb. I think you will like this one. But the reason why I don't recommend them as much, because they're a little more candy bar-ish, is just this vegan soy, like chocolate, and it's almost like puffed rice in between. It's about 10 grams of protein, 160 calories. Another bar, I don't know if I ever spoke about this with you, Deb, is those no BS bars. The bars where they take dates and almonds and egg whites. You might like that bar. That's a good bar too. It's just a little high in the carbs, a little high in sugar. And I've just found that it sticks to my teeth. It drives me crazy. I used to eat those bars all the time years ago. But they do taste good. And it's all it is dates, cashew. I think it's dates, cashews, and egg whites. So you're getting that, like all those essential amino acids. I think they're about, I'm not sure calories. I think they're like 230, 240 calories, but less protein, like 10 grams of protein. But, good amount of fiber. I mean, you might like that bar, Deb. We'll have to look for that. Oh, for your kids? Yeah, for your kids, any of those bars are good. I would do no Quest, no Cal. Kids pay. I don't think your son's gonna like no Cal. I would do Quest for him for sure, because he'll get those essential aminos like the whey protein, which is good for guys. He's great. I would probably go Quest bar for him. Let's see. It's Nicholas. So we got. Okay, just with the barbell. When am I reaching progressive overload? When I'm on my max rep, I feel like dropping in dumbbells. But with the barbell, it looks easier to balance heavier weight with me. Yeah, I would say to get. So Nicholas, you can go barbell or dumbbell. I think though, like you need a spotter though. If you're going that hard, I don't want you to, like if you're bench press or something, you don't want that bar to get stuck on your chest. The dumbbells too, if you're going really hard, you can lose it. Be careful, but I wouldn't want you killing yourself all the time. Like progressive overload, I like the term you use. That means you're progressing, you're doing harder, you're getting stronger, you're doing more. But it also doesn't mean that you have to train to failure every time you train. I would do it more in cycle, just like I call it my progressive cycling method. Just like I like to cycle calories, I like to cycle intensity. So I would do it more like this. I would say, let's say you're going to work in a 10-week cycle, an 8-week cycle. I'll make up a weight. I have no idea what you say you're bench pressing 95 pounds, which is an Olympic bar and quarters on the end, right? And let's say you start this 8-week cycle and say you can do 8 nice repetitions with a slow rep cadence, and you want to be able to, instead of doing 8 reps, at the end of, say, 10 weeks, you want to be able to do like 115 pounds for 8 reps. You want to progress your way there, but you'll get there quicker by not going to failure like 3 days a week, by just like progressively working harder. To maybe like, you start off at like 75% effort, then you go to 80% effort, then you go to 90, and then the last 2 weeks of an 8 to 10 week cycle, then you go into failure. Then you do it. Let's say you hit your goal, 115 pounds, 8 reps, you start all over again, as opposed to keep on trying to get going harder. So do the progressive overload, but do it in cycles. And still, when you're younger, you can do a little bit more than guys our age or gals our age. I still think 60, 70% of your training should not be like really, really hard. Should be moderate. 25 to 30% really go for it. So to really understand progressive, like periodization, to really understand progressive overload doesn't mean go to failure every workout. It means you should progressively make it harder to the point where you're working maximally, then you regroup again, you start to cycle over again. Let's see what John's got to say here. What is your daily sleep schedule? How does it differ on weekends? If I stay up late, I should wake up the same time. I know it gets challenging, but true circadian rhythm, and people get funny because night shift workers ask me this question all the time too. And probably even night shift workers, even though they're off on the weekends, they probably should stick to the same schedule. The best thing you can possibly do is always wake up and go to sleep the same time every single day, and obviously get your 7 or more hours of sleep. And the reason is you want to regulate those sleep hormones, the melatonin, the cortisol when you wake up. Now you want melatonin to be just released naturally. Like I try to go to sleep 10:30 almost every single night, and I just automatically get tired. Like my body starts releasing melatonin automatically because hormonally it's my circadian rhythm. I'm on that schedule. Yes, but I'm at the age where maybe you're younger than me, John. I'm not out partying on the weekends. Very rarely. I go out late at night. I know, like I know Debbie likes concerts. Maybe every now and then I go to a concert, I might be up late or something like that. But 95% of the time, even on the weekends, I'm pretty much on that same schedule. I wake up pretty early in the morning, relatively early. Ideally for me would be like 10 to 6, go to sleep at 10, wake up at 6. Within a half hour, I generally do that. So I would do the best you can, John, to just stick to that same schedule. Maybe even if you go out one night a week, you're just going to be a little sleep deprived the next day. I probably would still wake up the same time the next day just to keep yourself regulated if you can. But also keep in mind that when you get a bad night's sleep, you're insulin resistant the next day. That means it's just what happens. It's kind of weird, even if you're insulin sensitive, meaning that your body's going to have a much harder time controlling blood sugar the next day. So that's a day where I might say, I'm taking a walk first thing in the morning. I'm not eating this morning. I don't want to spike my blood sugar because my body's not going to be able to control it. Maybe that day I will do an 18 or 20-hour fast. And then by the time the afternoon comes, that insulin sensitivity is kind of gone. The insulin resistance is kind of gone, and I'm back to normal. Kind of interesting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was with the protein bars. Yes, I would probably go with Quest. This is Chris. You're the best, Mike. Great coach. I love these live streams on Thursday. Makes my day. Oh, thanks so much, Chris. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do this every other Thursday, 4 o'clock. I should probably announce it the day before, then more people would show up. But I'll start doing that. But once it's, I used to get a lot more people showing up. So once I start doing it regularly, I may even put it in my header on YouTube. Like I'm not sure how to write it. Like the first Thursday and third Thursday of every month. I have to figure out how to word it. But I'm gonna try to do this every other. And this is the kind of stuff that I do with the private coaching group. I do this every Sunday for everyone in the group, but it's a Zoom call, so it's more personal. People ask me a lot of questions. I do a presentation like this. So it's easy for me to do the presentations because I already have the slides done and everything. I was going to do 5-2. I was thinking about doing that for my private group, but maybe I'll do something similar to this for the private group. I just don't want to repeat things with people. Okay, this is Nicholas again. If you do 5 reps of heavy weight, is it more effective for muscle growth compared to 12 reps of lighter weight? Truthfully, Nicholas, doesn't make much difference. I know that's kind of a crazy thing for me to say. If you're doing 5 reps and the weight heavier, yes, maybe you might be a little stronger. But when it comes to hypertrophy, I don't know what your main goal is, to put on more muscle. The 12 reps is just as effective as 10. And also time on the load is a factor, like how quick you're doing the repetitions. Generally, any single rep rate, this is a general rule too. And this is finally, I always felt this way for 30 years, and now it's kind of like of a more mainstream thought. They always used to think years ago, oh, strength is 3 to 5 reps, hypertrophy is 8 to 12 reps, endurance or whatever is higher. Any rep range you can put on muscle as long as you're working relatively hard. Not even maximally. If you're working 80-90% effort, that's the key. Whether you're doing 30 reps or whether you're doing 3 reps, you're going to create a response. You're going to put on muscle. The reason why I don't like to go too low on reps, especially when you're older, someone like a young guy like you, Nicholas, you probably can be like 6 to 8 reps or even 3 to 6 reps, do triples, is because the weight's so heavy, the chance of getting hurt is always greater when the weight is heavier. So there's always a risk-reward ratio. I personally always like higher rep training. In your case, Nicholas, I'd like to see you in that 8 to 12 rep range. The weight's heavy, but not crazy heavy. You start doing triples and you start doing 5 reps. Especially if you don't have a spotter. I know you're still relatively young. I know young guys like to lift heavy weights, but the chances of getting hurt is always greater when the weight's heavy, unless you want to get into like powerlifting or something like that. And then it's different. Then you got to, you do more like even me as a bodybuilder when I was younger, I would do things in phases. I would do like 3 months of powerlifting, where I would just deadlift and I would just bench press and I would just squat and I would just do like pull-up. I would just do that for 3 months, get as strong as I can. Then maybe for the next 4 months, I would do hypertrophy training, where I would do pump training. I do like an 8 to 12 to 15 reps, like just torturous, like training pain and pump it up. And then I may do like a cut and get like really lean for the summer. It's better to work in cycles, especially when you're all the time. That's why progressive cycling, that's a term I kind of came up with. It's always better to do things in cycles. It's very hard to do everything at once. Like try to get super lean and try to get super strong and try to put on muscle and try to be in a calorie deficit. You can do hybrid versions of it, but you're better off doing things in cycles. Well, this is James. I noticed that James is 57. I like bodyweight workouts, push-ups. That's me too. Love them. I love all the bodyweight stuff too. Dips I got this torn labrum in my shoulder, which kind of bothers me with my dips. I fell snowboarding years ago. I should have got it fixed. I had a couple of MRIs. They always wanted to clip it away. A labrum is like that cartilage ring in your shoulder. And I tore mine because I fell really hard snowboarding. And yeah, I was too old. I didn't want to sew it up. I should have found a doctor that would sew it up. And maybe one day I'll have it clipped. But I can't do dips really. But I love the bodyweight workouts too. There is a scenario in this movie, Ex Machine, where the CEO guy talks to the guy he is mentoring. And the CEO guy is that when he loses sleep, he makes up for it the next day with his diet and training. Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. I know that. That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm not sure if I saw that movie. It seems counterintuitive, but the older I get, I understand. Yeah, that was pretty funny. That's good. Let's try the next one. Let me get through this. Now I want to stay a little too long. I want to be done with this in a couple more minutes. Let's see. Well, this meal, similar thing too. Sweet potato, shrimp, cauliflower rice. 9 ounces of shrimp, sweet potato, cauliflower rice. This is pretty low in calories, like 450 calories, 53 grams of protein. What's confusing that if it was regular rice, the calories would be much higher. But doing the cauliflower rice, and there's some peppers in there and some carrots, it's so good. And this is like my Cajun shrimp. I always keep shrimp in the house. I love that. Let's see, 10. I like this meal. I do this all the time too. This is actually a dinner. I don't know if this is salmon or Arctic chard or one of those, oily fish. Did my arugula salad. Had some little fresh mozzarella. Put some cherries in it at that time. My normal arugula salad. I love this meal. 650 calories, 61 grams of protein. You know, absolutely love it. It's great. It must have been cherry season, which is only one time of the year too. And I want to give, this is my last slide. This is my wife's that homemade buffalo chili, which I absolutely love. I know I did a video on it. I think most of the people have the recipe here. That's another thing. I make a big pot of that chili. I love it, but I just wanted even a little bit more fiber. So I had an avocado with some blueberries. So this came in at like 500, under 600 calories, 45 grams of protein. I just love it. So there we go, guys. Those are my 11 meals. If you want the PDF, let me know. So good. Any other question now before I go? I don't want to, I already went a little bit over because I know my daughter's here. She's here. Her boyfriend's showing up for a minute. I want to start getting dinner done for them. I think we're making filet of sole tonight. I think my wife bought like 2 pounds of filet of sole. So I think we're going to do Brussels sprouts. I'm not sure what the other vegetable is going to be. Maybe, I bet sweet potatoes. I know my daughter loves sweet potatoes. But I appreciate everybody showing up. And once again, whoever isn't in my private coaching group, if you're interested, let me know. You can leave a comment below this video. You can just say coach. Just contact me and I'll get back to you. I think I have 4 spots now. I only have 3. I got 4 spots right now. So, and hopefully I'll see everyone in a couple weeks. If there's a particular topic you want me to cover, let me know. But once again, I appreciate everybody showing up. Any quick questions before I go? All right, guys. Thanks for showing up. Deb, thanks, Chris. Thanks so much for showing up. I really do appreciate it. Rita, Manisha, all the regulars, I really do appreciate it. Nicholas, thanks a lot for service. John, I appreciate it. Take care, guys. And gals.